I know the conversation, especially leading up to this week, which by the way we could get into slightly. If I'm skeptical if Drake is dropping. I'm skeptical, and I've asked him directly, and like he just liked my post. I was like, "You dropping, bro?" He just double tapped. He didn't even say yes or no. But anyway, the reason why is, and I'm not gonna look into that even dynamic because he usually answers my question. But still, it didn't feel like Drake was really announcing some shit. Like we don't have an album cover. It was just one random shit on ESPN. Like it just seemed kind of weird. Like he's not even acknowledging the album dropping, like at all. Like the nigga's still like showing him in the studio kicking it with his friends. Like he's not acknowledging. It doesn't seem like a nigga who's on a rollout. Like yo, Thursday I'm gonna be on OVO Sound on Sirius XM. No, he ain't saying shit. He just okay. Album coming. This don't seem like how Drake would like to roll out an album, if you ask me. Also, I still kind of feel like Drake wants to have these moments of the lead up. And right now, what's the lead up single for Drake's album? Granted, he doesn't need a lead single, right? He don't need a lead single at the moment, right? But the head of steam pause that he was headed into Scorpion with God's plan, I think made for a different reception. You got to realize Drake is hit driven, while Kanye, there's probably gonna be some hit in this mix. There's a couple songs I kind of like that could be like kind of radio records and be like, oh, that's the hit. But like immediately, I don't look at Kanye like he about to have a hit. I look at him like he's about to have the body of work. But Drake also is moving in pop, like pop level. So like you have to have those records, right? It can't be like, oh, the album cuts are great, you know. So I just don't know if Drake personally is dropping. It doesn't seem like this rollout for him, unless you want to believe the conspiracy theories that says, well, him and Kanye been in cahoots this whole time and whatever. Like, no disrespect, but I don't think with or without the quote unquote beef with Kanye, the hype for Drake album would be any lesser anymore. He hasn't dropped a project in 3 years. Yes, he did drop the Dark Lane demo tapes, but we've been waiting for this next project, which ends up being Certified Lover Boy, and he's at a pretty pivotal part of his career. So I just feel like you don't go into it'll be 5 days till September 3rd, and you just go in there with one ESPN. Like he's not even talking about it. You know what I mean? At all. Now, truth be told, I think he's gonna clarify some shit now that Don is out, and I think that's a dope move on the behalf of Kanye. Don't wait for Drake. Drake trying to mind fuck Kanye so bad. Like that's one of the things when people say, "Yo, Drake, Kanye is pressed." Man, I'm not saying Drake is pressed, but like Drake is actively doing shit to rile up a nigga who doesn't know how to subliminally get at him the way he does. You know what I mean? It's like when Jay-Z used to just sneak this a bunch of niggas, and niggas is making full-blown diss tracks at Jay-Z. And you know what all Jay-Z fans said? They ain't even talk about you. Like you're obsessed. You're like, what the fuck? This thing been dissing me. Like, so again, I completely believe that they're playing these like mind games, and that's why I think maybe this might be a Fox or a fake album release date, but it might be real. But I think now that Kanye's dropped, he'll probably unveil that, and I think Kanye did a smart thing by just dropping on your own time. Another thing is he dropped it 8 a.m. today, but we've known this for a while though, right? I actually thought for a little bit when he was going at Drake, maybe he want to get back in the numbers game. I don't think Kanye's been in the numbers game in a while. Like I'm like Kanye's a nigga who like he'll drop it like one day in the release window. Like he don't care. Like could Kanye do great numbers? Yes. Is he making albums to do great numbers with big singles and doing all the most that most rappers would do? No. He's doing it however he wants. And I think that's a pretty freeing experience. And that's why I'm also comparing him to Drake. It's a little bit freeing experience when, bro, like I see people say, yo, he's going to do 500K. Bro, if Kanye does 200K, what are you going to say about him? Like, nigga, he's a fucking billionaire who still, his influence is so bigger than even music at this point. What you going to say, he fell off? Bro, Kanye, yo, when he was supporting Trump, nobody thought he could command every single person in hip-hop and outside of hip-hop at his beck and call to fucking show up to 3 stadiums and just everybody donda. And shit, even if he spent a shit ton of money to make all that happen, Everybody was acting like, oh, we're done with Kanye. Kanye at any point, he's done enough, he's earned enough, he has enough cultural equity and enough creative equity that whenever he wants, he could get everybody to pay attention to him. Everybody. You get me? So if he wants to sell a lot of albums, like I've always said, if you really care to sell a lot of albums, who the fucking most influential person more than Ye? Just package it with a fucking sneaker or some shit. And this shit would have sold 10 million first week. Like, come on. Like, obviously I'm exaggerating, but still. I don't think Kanye's in that game. That's why he's dropping on a Sunday. I think also, I think he kind of sees that Drake probably going to do some funny shit with that release date. So he's like, fuck it, man. Let me just drop the shit. And I think now kind of seeing how everything went down, I think he did plan for the listening event at Chicago to be the finale. You know, it makes sense, right? It would be weird if he went to Minnesota like in 2 weeks, like, or like, hey, I'm going to Minnesota this Thursday. It would just look weird, right? Like, it would make sense for him to end it at home. So I'm glad that Kanye is doing that, and I'm happy with the album. I'm not mad at the album. Like, again, it just is what it is. Like, it just is what it is. Now, in terms of by the way, oh, another thing, let me address this real quick. Let me turn this up. By the way, chat, if y'all don't know, I read all y'all messages. Even like when y'all DM me and stuff like that. My truck driver chat niggas told me, we in traffic, shit be loud, and sometimes your mic is low, so turn your shit the fuck up. And they also told me stop being a bitch and have myself on mute. So I'm considerate if you're driving around, you know what I mean, doing your job, working your hard-earned money, and you listening to what I got to say, I definitely take your concerns into consideration. So I'm gonna start talking a little bit louder. Well, I'm gonna turn up my mic, so it's all good. Anyway, still talking about truck drivers, man. But yeah, I like the project, man. I like the project. Now, I always say this with Ye, and I've said this about his last few albums. I don't think Ye cares to be in music constantly. The difference between Kanye, and of course I'm going to keep using Drake as an example. Kanye, and we could argue this clearly, but both at one point in their career was the top nigga in music, right? Drake currently is now. Like after 2010 going up to like 2014, 15, it was straight Kanye, right? I think Kanye looks at that, and I could be wrong, because that's why it also fucks me up when people say Kanye is jealous of Drake, because I don't think Kanye is trying to be like the number one guy. I'm going to tell you why. He would make more music. He would do more collabs. He would be present on the scene a lot more. He would just be a lot more, like Drake is present constantly. Remember, like some people still killing me for my take on Kendrick, but truth be told, like, I got to call Kendrick a retired MC. Like, he barely rap. He rap once every 5 years. Or like he drop a project once every 5 years. That don't seem like a nigga who's like active to me. Maybe he's active in y'all minds. Drake is fucking trying to drop something every couple of months. Yeah, he's constantly at it. I think Kanye, he knows he could drop whenever he wants, but I've always thought since Yeezus, since when he dropped Yeezus, I thought he gave up on wanting to be the number one rapper or the top rapper, or being this competition of who's the hottest at the moment, or whose year it is, or whose run it is. I think he was using his music to bulking up his influence and use that influence either to infiltrate fashion and do other things in his life. That's another reason why, I understand he wilds out with a genius tag a little bit, but like for all the music and cultural equity that Drake got, like he pretty much just keep that shit within music. Kanye has finessed this shit where that nigga came out making songs like Through the Wire, and now this nigga could do anything. Like it, like for a fucking second, at least maybe in hip hop, we thought maybe this motherfucker actually will run for president or something like that. Like he's used that influence from music and he's went so far with it. You get me? So after Yeezus, I don't think he was necessarily just sitting there like, how could I be the best rapper again? You get me? I think he's always dropped his music to set something up. For example, Yeezus was his cry, his plea. He said it on the Breakfast Club. Hey, I wouldn't make an album like Yeezus if that was my way to express myself while I was going through these, trials and tribulations in the fashion market. He came back around with The Life of Pablo. I thought The Life of Pablo was really for him to set up even some of the things he has now. I know he's on the board of Gap, right? Like, he has a huge Gap deal. He's with Adidas, right? He figured out all that shit, and I think that's where The Life of Pablo came in. I think Jesus. What was the name of the gospel album? What's the name of the gospel album he dropped? Tell me. The gospel album, Jesus is King. I think that was really to set himself up for another phase in his life. I don't think it's necessarily just music. That's what I was trying to say. I think him doing the Ye album, the Ye 7-track EP, and then the Kid See Goes with Kid Cudi. I think that was solely to set up what he wanted to do in terms of, kind of production-wise and just kind of putting everybody on his label on. You know what I mean? Because, like a lot of these good music people, they kind of grown impatient. So I think he wanted to do that for them. But I think this release, as I said, I do think it's personal, but I'm trying to figure out what it's setting up to be. Because I don't think you're going to see 5 more tracks next week with Baby and Kanye. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Kanye's chasing that shit at all. Like, he made his mark. This is obviously the biggest moment in music this year. And now we're going to see what he does next. So we're going to, like, to some extent, we're kind of all part of, like, the life of Kanye. Right? But, yeah. So, and I still see people saying Drake no, I think Drake's going to have a phenomenal fucking album. You know what I mean? I just can't compare it. I can't compare it. I'll tell you this, though. I'll tell you this. One of the Drake, I'll give you a Drake tidbit. And again, like, even when I'm talking to him, I'm like, because I even told him, I said, bro, I don't really know if I know you're saying you're dropping, but are you really dropping? Because I don't really think you're dropping. So it's not like I'm just there like, oh my God, yes, just tell me whatever you think, Drake.